The mountain exploded at exactly 0139 hours. For 19 seconds, the Zagros range turned into hell itself. 41 precision charges detonated in devastating sequence, ripping through reinforced concrete and solid granite like paper. Missile propellant ignited in massive fireballs that punched through 200 feet of mountain rock. Warheads cooked off in chain reactions, visible from 95 kilometers away. The blast wave shattered windows in villages 12 miles distant, and 200 American operators, already 9 kilometers away in roaring Chinooks, watched Iran's most secret weapon disappear into a rolling inferno that lit up the night sky like a second sun. 17 minutes earlier, Iranian guards had been drinking tea at their posts, completely unaware that the largest SEAL Team 6 strike force ever assembled was already inside their impenetrable fortress, wiring every launcher for destruction. This is what happened in those 17 minutes, and why the Middle East would never be the same. The MQ-9 Reaper had been orbiting at 25,000 feet for 8 consecutive hours, its advanced electro-optical sensors locked onto the mountain facility carved into Iran's Zagros range. At 23:34 hours, the live feed transmitted to the USS Gerald R. Ford's Combat Information Center confirmed what weeks of signals intelligence had indicated. Iranian Revolutionary Guard personnel maintaining standard rotation schedules, completely unaware that 200 members of Naval Special Warfare Development Group were preparing to eliminate their facility from existence. Positioned 85 nautical miles offshore in the Persian Gulf's darkened waters, the supercarrier's deck bustled as ground crews conducted final checks on 4 CH-47 Chinook heavy lift helicopters and 6 AH-64 Apache gunships, their turbines warming in the salt-laden air. The target represented one of Iran's most closely guarded military secrets, a subterranean ballistic missile complex situated 9,200 feet above sea level, buried 147 kilometers inside Iranian territory. American satellite reconnaissance had monitored its development across 7 months, documenting Iranian engineers as they excavated 14 reinforced missile silos directly into granite bedrock. Intelligence confirmed each silo housed Fateh 313 ballistic missiles capable of striking American carrier groups. Iranian forces had deployed approximately 165 elite troops throughout the installation, establishing defensive positions that conventional doctrine deemed nearly impenetrable. At 23:41 hours, the operations commanding officer received encrypted authorization from Central Command. The mission, designated PHANTOM GLACIER, received final approval with an extremely compressed timeline. Helicopter departure at midnight, target insertion at 0047 hours, assault initiation at 0115 hours, extraction no later than 0230 hours. The window remained brutally constrained because Iranian quick reaction forces at 4 surrounding installations could deploy reinforcements within 75 minutes. Success demanded speed, overwhelming violence, and flawless coordination. Precisely at midnight, all 10 aircraft lifted from the Ford's flight deck, rotors generating tremendous downwash as they banked eastward. The formation maintained nap-of-the-earth profiles, the heavy Chinooks flying barely 60 feet above wave tops to remain beneath Iranian radar coverage. Inside each helicopter, SEALs sat in disciplined silence, weapons secured between their knees, minds cycling through assault procedures rehearsed countless times. Simultaneously, 5 Reaper drones launched from an undisclosed base established orbital patterns above the target zone, providing continuous surveillance, aggressive electronic warfare against Iranian communications, and real-time intelligence distribution. At 0023 hours, the primary Reaper's infrared systems detected an Iranian patrol moving along the facility's southeastern perimeter, positions matching predicted patterns. The drone operator, 7,400 miles distant in Nevada, marked each location and transmitted tactical data to the approaching formation. The strike package penetrated Iranian airspace at 0036 hours, maintaining dangerously low altitude through narrow mountain valleys. GPS navigation updated continuously, compensating for wind shear and elevation changes. Pilots operated using fourth-generation night vision, transforming midnight terrain into a green illuminated landscape. At 0044 hours, they reached the Insertion zone, a plateau 3.8 kilometers from the target. 200 SEALs fast-roped onto Iranian soil in 12 seconds as the Chinooks immediately vanished into darkness. Total time exposed, 15 seconds. The transports established holding patterns 35 kilometers distant, while Apache gunships climbed to attack positions 8 kilometers out, weapons armed. The assault force rapidly organized into 4 elements and began advancing, utilizing night vision optics that transformed darkness into tactical advantage. At 0109 hours, overhead feeds showed the Iranian garrison maintaining routine operations. Sentries walked predictable pathways. Lights burned in the command facility. Technicians worked inside missile caverns, their thermal signatures bright against cold granite. The defenders had no indication that 200 operators were approaching through surrounding darkness. Alpha Squadron established overwatch at 0128 hours, occupying positions 750 meters northwest. SEAL marksmen with SR-25 rifles and thermal optics commanded fields of fire covering virtually every defensive position. Bravo Squadron maneuvered within 250 meters of the command bunker, exploiting dead ground Iranian planning had overlooked. Charlie Squadron, 68 operators strong, approached the western access tunnel, providing direct entry to the missile complex. Delta Squadron, 32 specialists, infiltrated toward communications arrays and backup power systems. At 0114 hours, the mission commander activated encrypted radio. All elements prepare for execution. Initiate on my command. Aboard the Ford, radar technicians monitored displays intensely. The carrier's Aegis system tracked Iranian air defense emissions across 250 miles. Should circumstances deteriorate, the strike group included 3 destroyers carrying 288 Tomahawk missiles ready for launch. At 0115 hours exactly, execute, execute, execute. The Reaper constellation immediately initiated broad-spectrum jamming across all Iranian military frequencies. Throughout the facility, radios erupted with white noise, phones went dead, networks lost connectivity. The garrison found itself completely isolated, severed from support, unaware of the catastrophe descending. Alpha Squadron's marksmen engaged first. At 0116 hours, 8 suppressed shots cracked across the mountainside, sound signatures minimal. 8 Iranian sentries collapsed simultaneously, neutralized before transmitting warnings. The outer defensive ring disintegrated, personnel inside oblivious. Bravo Squadron assaulted the command bunker at 0117 hours. A 6-person breaching team positioned a precision charge against the reinforced entrance, calculated to destroy the door without alerting the wider garrison. At 0118 hours, the charge detonated with a sharp crack. SEALs flowed through before debris settled. What transpired inside lasted 34 seconds. Suppressed Mk-18 carbines fired in disciplined pairs, neutralizing command staff before they could access weapons. The installation's leadership was eliminated in half a minute. Iranian forces now operated without command, unable to coordinate or request reinforcements. Charlie Squadron had already penetrated the mountain. At 0117 hours, 4 SEALs descended 52 meters through a ventilation shaft, emerging where 6 Iranian technicians performed maintenance. They turned in confusion as armed operators materialized from darkness, swiftly subdued before comprehending the situation. At 0120 hours, the garrison finally recognized attack. Soldiers rushed from barracks, seizing weapons, demanding orders that would never come. They advanced toward gunfire, directly into Alpha Squadron's kill zone. The marksmen executed with clinical precision. Thermal optics identified targets through darkness. Suppressors concealed flash and sound. Iranian soldiers fell in groups, struck by projectiles from positions they couldn't identify. Inside the complex, Charlie Squadron worked with urgent discipline. Demolition specialists positioned shaped charges on every launcher, every hydraulic assembly, every fire control system. These precision-engineered munitions would destroy specific components while maximizing structural collapse, each charge connected to a master detonation network. At 01:26 hours, overhead feeds detected Iranians attempting counterattack near the barracks. The mission commander activated radio. "Ford, this is Sabre Actual. Request immediate fire mission. Grid Papa Lima 6359. Personnel in open terrain." 85 miles offshore, a destroyer's computer calculated the solution in 0.9 seconds. At 01:28 hours, a 5-inch gun thundered, launching a GPS-guided round. The projectile impacted at 01:28 hours, detonating within the Iranian formation. The explosion scattered personnel across the mountainside. The counterattack collapsed. Naval gunfire had reached 147 kilometers inland to destroy the garrison's final resistance.
At 01:29 a.m., the demolition technician transmitted, "Charges placed, 41 active, all armed. Every launcher, every control mechanism rigged for destruction." Timeline showed 14 minutes elapsed. Delta Squadron had completed secondary objectives. Communications tower in ruins, backup generators sabotaged. The installation was being systematically dismantled with surgical precision. Extraction initiated at 01:30 hours. SEALs withdrew in coordinated bounds, each element covering others. Apache gunships detected Iranian reinforcements approaching. At 01:32 hours, Hellfire missiles streaked through darkness, impacting the convoy. Vehicles erupted in flames, blocking the road. At 01:34 hours, all elements converged on the extraction zone. The commander keyed radio. "Anvil flight, execute extraction. Package complete, landing zone secure." 3 kilometers distant, all 10 aircraft accelerated toward the plateau. At 01:37 hours, helicopters descended and 200 SEALs loaded aboard in 18 seconds. The formation lifted off, banking westward toward the coast, toward the Ford waiting in darkness. At 01:39 hours, 9 kilometers from target, the demolition specialist armed the firing device and initiated the sequence. The mountain erupted. 41 charges detonated in succession, tearing into missile systems with surgical precision. Initial blasts ripped through launcher assemblies. Propellant tanks ruptured, releasing thousands of gallons of fuel that ignited in massive secondary explosions. The fireball expanded outward and upward, consuming everything. Then the warheads began cooking off. Each Fateh 313 carried a 650-kilogram warhead. As temperatures reached critical levels, these detonated in rapid succession, generating chain reactions that transformed the complex into an inferno. The blast punched through 200 feet of solid rock, ejecting debris hundreds of meters skyward. The seismic shockwave registered on monitoring stations 800 kilometers away. Windows shattered in villages 12 miles distant. Iranian civilians stumbled from homes, staring at the massive fireball illuminating the mountains like daylight. At 02:08 a.m., the strike package exited Iranian airspace. At 02:31 a.m., they landed aboard the Ford. Exhausted SEALs disembarked, weapons still warm. Medical personnel treated 5 wounded operators, all injuries minor.
The commander transmitted to Central Command. Phantom Glacier complete. All objectives achieved. All personnel accounted for. Total duration, 2 hours, 31 minutes. American casualties, 5 wounded, 0 fatalities. Iranian casualties, 127 neutralized. All 14 launchers destroyed beyond reconstruction. But numbers only told part of the story. In hours following the operation, strategic ramifications cascaded through the region with the force of the explosions themselves. Iranian military leadership faced crisis, explaining how their most protected installation had been penetrated and annihilated with such devastating efficiency. The operation demonstrated seamless American integration, carrier aviation, heavy lift helicopters, attack helicopters, unmanned platforms, naval fire support, and special operations forces. It proved American military power could reach any target, regardless of fortification or isolation, and eliminate it with precision. Allied governments across the Gulf observed that American security guarantees were backed by genuine capability. Saudi Arabia, UAE, and regional partners quietly increased military cooperation, recognizing alignment offered the most reliable security. Adversarial nations drew equally significant conclusions. Russian analysts recognized their installations faced similar vulnerabilities. Chinese planners noted implications for South China Sea fortifications. North Korean leadership observed even underground facilities offered no sanctuary. For Iran, the operation forced fundamental reassessment. Their most protected assets had proven vulnerable. Defensive assumptions were obsolete. No facility, regardless of remoteness or fortification, could be considered secure. The psychological impact extended beyond military considerations. The operation occurred 147 kilometers inside Iranian territory, in mountainous terrain chosen for defensive advantages. Yet American forces penetrated, completed their mission with clinical efficiency, and extracted without losses. The 14 launchers that vanished represented more than destroyed missiles. They symbolized fundamental recalibration of regional power dynamics that would influence geopolitical calculations for years to come. The operation demonstrated American military supremacy rested not merely on technological superiority, but on integrating multiple capabilities into seamless execution, achieving strategic objectives with minimal risk and maximum effect. As Iranian engineers surveyed smoking ruins, as regional powers recalculated positions, as allies gained renewed confidence, one reality became undeniable. The balance had shifted. The operation proved that in an era of precision weapons and elite forces, no target lay beyond reach, no sanctuary remained inviolable, and military power belonged to nations capable of projecting force with surgical precision across any distance, through any defense, at any time deemed necessary.